Hello. Good afternoon because it's 2 p.m. and good evening, good morning, whenever you are. I hope you are doing great. I hope you are having a good time. Today it's another day and I've been making this video on my car. Today's a second day of me making a video inside my vehicle instead of my house. Also, I just came out of my gym. So just came from working out and I found out that this is going to be actually amazing if every day I go to the gym and I come to the car, make a video, 15 minutes video, and talk about what I'm working on right now. And it's Tuesday. It's the second day of the third week of the October 2025, and it's October 14th. As you're watching this video, it's going to be recorded October 15th. It's going to be uploaded before the midnight so that tomorrow I can prepare for another video. This month I'm working on a series of poverty trap, focusing mostly on poor nations, in specifically in African nations. And I've been researching. I'm also researching here at the University of Catholic University of America about the poverty trap. What is and I wanna remind this that poverty trap is a self-reinforcement. It's when somebody was born in poverty and they remain in poverty and it becomes a recycle, so they cannot get out of it. Each country is different. So specifically in the United States, poverty trap is usually about low wages and lack of resources, lack of education. In nations like in Africa, it's not an individual, it's actually like the whole country. So you have countries that are really in extreme poverty. This is not an exaggeration because there has not been much of a push on social mobility, and there has been a lack of opportunities for people to move up in these nations. So there are few mechanisms, but I want to make sure that they can people can know watching this video that there are many reasons behind poverty trap, and I cannot describe all of them. But why is this cascading strange? Yeah, so those reasons, I think I need to roll the windows down so it doesn't. Okay, much better. Because when the car windows are closed, it can create carbon monoxide inside the vehicle because the vehicle is off. But anyways, it's gonna be some noise outside because the windows are open, and it's decided to be hot outside, so I want to make sure I'm safe. It also smells strange here. Anyways, so let me go. My video's before it ends. The one of the things I'm working on right now, something I'm talking about right now, is human capital. Okay, and there are different levels of poverty. So you have human capital, you have technology, then you have labor, then you have capital itself, right? So like machines, infrastructure, materials, that's the capital. The resources, the land, that's capital. And you have geography, economic geography. You have like in Rwanda, for example, they have a small country, they don't have access to the ocean. And then you have Uganda, which is a landlocked country with climate change, right? Those things. And you can also have conflicts like wars, right? Those are different issues. But for me, I'm in this few weeks, I'm gonna be focusing more on the human capital side. And within the human capital, within each topic, there is a specific element. So human capital, you have nutrition, like food. You have lack of education, like basic education. So I'm going to talk about nutrition specifically because why it's a big deal? Because if you don't eat enough food, if you don't eat good nutrition, if you are struggling to find what to eat next day, you're not gonna have the ability to develop other things like think beyond just a meal, a daily meal. And there is a lack of nutrition. Also, there's also a lack of enough food in these poor countries. So when you are poor to afford the basic needs like food, right, or water is the resource. It can keep you in a poverty trap. Think about this: the average person in Uganda wakes up in the morning and goes out on the market and sells tomato. They sell tomato and they make, I don't know, probably like $1 or $2. They go to the nearby shop, they spend $1 to buy rice. Rice is not made in Uganda, it's made in Egypt, because they don't grow that much rice in Uganda. Rice is the nutrition that they need, and because it comes from Egypt, it costs extra amount of money to ship. It has to come from Egypt, pay duties or taxes, then it ships to Kenya, then Kenya has to pay duties, then it comes to Uganda, which by the time it reaches Congo, Burundi, or Tanzania, or Kenya, Congo, the price have doubled. So if the price of rice was supposed to be like $2 on 1 gram or 2 grams or 3, 5, 10 pounds, by the time it reaches the consumer in a village, the price would have gone all the way up to like I don't know, $5. So somebody who's making $1 a day by selling tomatoes, assume they get a customer, by the time they get enough nutrition, they would have to it would have taken much longer by the time they afford $10. So this becomes a situation in a sense that people in that poverty cycle, they cannot afford nutritious food. This is crucial in areas like people who are producing the workforce. So you have parents like moms who are supposed to be producing the workforce, right? Children to grow up and eventually become productive. And those children, they need to go through a training, like education training, or go through academia. And there's not enough food to feed these children, like enough nutrition, right? And these children in school, they have to consume the same amount of food that is grown in local, so like maize and those food that don't give them enough nutrition. So this becomes sort of self-reinforcement. You find that generation after generation is eating the same food, same meal, becomes a normal thing. But sometimes some nations don't even have access to the food or the produce, the local produce. In some areas like Somalia, for example, people don't grow food. They don't grow their own food. They ship food from outside. Nutrition is a problem that needs to be resolved. Sometimes farmers grow a ton of food, and then that food goes to waste, right? Because they don't have storage, so they cannot store food for the next day. So not only do non-farmers, people who live in a city, they have to work to afford the meal, but also even the farmers, they have to work to feed themselves and then have extra for the rest of the population. I mentioned this yesterday. So you think about this: if a farmer in Uganda has 10 acres of land and they grow 50,000 pounds of food, let's say maize, because it's the main popular meal in Uganda, that food the farmer would have to feed his own family, so they have to keep like 20 pounds, then sell 30 pounds to the city. So the city needs more than 30 pounds. So that creates sort of the scarcity of food, making food more expensive. Now, when farmers invest so much money, the resources into growing food, and that food comes up and becomes wasted because there's nowhere to store that food, then eventually the next season farmers cannot grow even more food because they know the food is going to be wasted. So it creates some sort of a waste versus versus lack of resources. So when I think about the nutrition, I feel like it's the main problem for these poor nations, and it affects an entire country. You have and I think to solve this problem, we need to not only focus on teaching farmers how to grow food that can last longer, we also need to teach farmers how to restore their food, have the storage. There is no one single storage of food in Uganda or in any country in Africa, and the government, I believe, needs to invest in building like a gigantic. This is just my idea. I think they should build like a gigantic warehouse in every farm around the area, and then each farmer can maybe rent or maybe even get subsidized by the government to have a specific storage. When I grew up in Uganda, we used to grow maize, beans, sorghum, all that kind of stuff, and we would harvest a ton. And because everybody harvests at the same time on the same season, right, you have the price goes down, so farmers don't make money. So they sell a ton of production to make more money, to offset the price that they spend, the time they spend. And also they want to buy other things, like during Christmas they want to buy stuff, food, the food that they need. So the price of the scarcity, like meat during Christmas, goes up. The price of rice goes up. The price of oil goes up. The price of salt goes up. The price of sugar goes up. The price of food that farmers grow in large number, so sorghum, maize, potatoes, sometimes also tomatoes, goes down. So farmers sell more food to subsidize the other food, the other nutrients that they need. But I believe if they had a storage where they can store this food for a long time, they could eventually hold on to it and sell whenever they need to. So we used to keep our stuff outside the house. So during the harvest season, you will find a huge gigantic bag of food, maize, others, etc., sitting outside. And whenever it will rain, it will destroy the whole crop. So you lose a lot of money. So to resolve the nutrition problem, we need to have a huge amount of storage to store this nutritious food. Then I know Rwanda has been doing this, so it's been doing an amazing job. But I believe that the government needs to be able to, or the institutions or private sector, they needs to control or so sort of consult the farmers on which kind of food to produce based on the land they have. So it's easy to be attempted to grow maize in the land that can only produce tomatoes. So evaluating each land and understanding what kind of crops can be grown to the specific land, it will be crucial. Then increase the investments in the tools and the capital that they use, so people can move from using a hoe to maybe using a machine, right? Or have an alternative. So they have access to the hoe, they also have access to the machine. So like there should be like machines at the center, at any specific, the government should be able to, because like in Kampala, for example, if you want to buy or rent a machine, you have to go to the Kampala, the capital city. That's where everything is. But they should be able to bring these machines closer to the farmers, build these machines close to the farmers, and let them station there. Factories, manufacturing needs to move closer to the farmer in a rural area where farmers can have access to them, and then take loans as they need to and increase their production. That's just my idea. That's why I think that should be done. And so that wraps up for the nutrition part of it. But one of the key reasons why the poverty trap keeps happening in the poor countries or poor communities or poor economies is lack of nutrition, lack of food, lack of the ability to feed their children, grandchildren, and farmers, men and women, to produce. And when people are not fed well, they cannot study well, they cannot work hard, they cannot produce enough food that will feed the next generation. They cannot also think beyond the basic of stuff. So within the economic model, technology, capital, and labor, we need to improve the human capital, ensure that humans are given enough food to sustain themselves. That's it for today. I hope you found this video helpful. If you do, please give me a follow, and like always, I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye. Ciao ciao.